What's going on, rock stars? Welcome back to another episode of The 1% Life. I'm your host, peak performance coach and trainer, Joni Dillon. And today, oh my goodness, today, rock stars, I have an absolute treat for you. My guest today is unlike any human being you will ever meet. No joke. She quickly rose to the top of three, not one, but three network marketing companies back to back, and is now the number one income earner, has the number one and fastest growing team in her entire company, of like just amazing. Well, let me just say the name of the company, Prove It. She's the founder of Empire U, where she leads. Okay, can we just start that over again? Because that is just fumbly jumbly right now.
Oh, good. It's relatable. I love it. So good.
Okay, hold on. Let's do this one again. All right. What's going on, rock stars? Welcome back to another episode of The 1% Life. I'm your host, peak performance coach and trainer, Joni Dillon. And today, rock stars, I have an absolute treat in store for you. My guest today is unlike any human being you will ever encounter in your life. She is the number one network marketer in her company. And let me just not stop there. She started just 2.5 years ago and quickly rose through the ranks all the way up, leading the number one team in her company, Prove It, to the top. She recently got awarded, let's just call it a Lamborghini, amongst all kinds of other awards like the Ultimate Pacesetter Award, the Icon Earner Award. I mean, come on. I bet you we could line up her awards and it would fill an entire house. This woman is an absolute beast. And let me just call her the boss. When I think of boss individuals, not just females, but individuals in the world, I absolutely admire her work ethic. I admire everything that she's created, her vision for her team, her vision for the world. I am so excited to bring to you someone who I call my personal mentor, Miss Jessie Lee, AKA Boss Lee. Welcome to the 1% Life.
Oh, I'm so excited. Hello, everybody. I'm pumped to be on here. Quite the introduction. I love that. And I kind of like an air, like hallelujah thing when you said it, but I know it's a podcast, so I'll let everyone know. I hate boss babe. I hate, it's a lady boss. I cannot stand this.
Right.
I don't know why it bothers me so much, except for the fact that I'm not just a girl boss. I'm just a boss. So thank you for saying a boss individual. That gets me like ready to razzle dazzle for sure. So thank you for that.
Oh my goodness. Well, you are that and so much more. And really they're in for such a treat. And it's so easy, Jessie Lee, for us to look at, I'm just going to call you Boss Lee. Is that okay? Like, let's just
call it whatever.
All right, let's go.
Podcast, okay?
So Boss Lee, it's so easy for somebody to see the success, right? When we think of, we're in some crazy times right now. Can we agree? I'm sure it's going to come up. So why not just start with it? We are in some unprecedented times where people are really, really struggling. And I know that you see this, and they're looking for a way out. But here's what I feel like happens. I feel like we see these people on Instagram living their best life, right? And yes, you drive a Lamborghini, but you did not start with a Lamborghini. You did not start and come to this world with a Lamborghini. Take us back, like how your life, your story, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
Back to your roots.
Appreciate that. Yeah. So I have a rule of thumb, which I'm a very tactical trainer. I don't know that I'm training people on this podcast, but I feel like that's just my...
Hey, you take it wherever you want to
go. Yeah. Thanks for the permission. My natural state. But I always tell people, do not share your glory without sharing your story. And the reason I say that is because it's very easy to look at, like you said, the Lamborghini, the Porsche, the Land Rover, the multi-million-dollar homes. Like, it's easy to look at all that and go, oh gosh, like I don't even like her, which I think is what people do sometimes, which is why I always bring it back to the real story, because the real story is not at all that. Like, that's fruits of the labor, but there's a quote that is still one of my favorite quotes of all time, and then I'll tell you my story. It's a Bill Gates quote, and he says, "It's not your fault if you're born poor, but it is your fault if you die poor."
Ooh, I got full spirit pimples on that one. That is such a powerful quote.
Like,
okay, say it one more time. Like, say it, it's so impactful.
I know, it's so good. It's not your fault if you're born poor, but it is your fault if you die poor. And I don't know why, when I heard that 9 years ago, when I was totally in victim mode, that it finally ripped me out of it. But because I was that person. Like, if we go back into my childhood, here's another just training.
Can we just go all the way back?
All the way back, sure. Yeah, sure. Okay. And the reason I share so openly, and I hope it inspires others to do the same, is that humans do not relate to the glitz and the glam and the whatever. Like, it might make you look at it, it might make you ask questions, but human beings relate to the vulnerabilities. Human beings relate to the ugly. Human beings relate to, oh, you have pain also. They don't relate to all the glory and the cars and the fancy stuff and, oh, my life is so perfect. And so in this Instagram world that you kind of started to mention, it drives me nuts. Mm-hmm. Because that's not why I'm top recruiter, and I've always been top recruiter for. I have averaged, and this isn't, I don't say anything to impress people. I say it to impress upon them things. There has not been a month I have not personally recruited 20 people. That's like my low since I began this. Wow. And it's not because I ever had the fancy stuff. Quite frankly, the fancy stuff, when I talk about it, it hurts my recruiting. Write that down. Because people think, oh, I have to have all this stuff. I have to have the homes. I have to have the cars. I have to have the boats. I have to travel. It's au contraire, my friend. It is literally the opposite. Because when I talk about growing up in poverty, when I talk about walking to the convenience store for a gallon of milk, when I talk about being raised by my Nana and my granddaddy because my parents were unfit to parent, when I talk about an abusive home, when I talk about knowing what it's like to get a chicken on Sunday to last a household of 6 people until the end of the week, which means you're having by the end of the week, there's no chicken in the chicken fried rice. You know what I mean? Like, that's always the last meal of the week before you get the old chicken again on Sunday to last another week. Those kinds of things, people go, oh my God, like if she can, and that's just like some of it, right? But I'm not going to go, like, there's no point in going into a ton of stuff because we got lots to talk about. I mean, I'm very open about it, but it's like that gives people hope. And especially at a time right now, like you mentioned, our job is to be hope dealers. Our job is to show people there's another way. Our job is to show people that, you know what? It might suck right now. You might have just lost your job. You might have just lost your home. You might be losing your car. You might be up to your ears in debt. You know what? It can always be worse, first of all. And second of all, understand there are always options. And it's those people, whether you want to call them optimists or pessimists, or realists or whatever, I think it's just real that if you look at life on the brighter side of life, you know what? There's a lot of hope out there. There's a lot of good people out there. There's a lot of opportunity, especially if you're listening to a podcast, you have more opportunity than 99% of the world. Like, get with it, sister friend or man. I don't know who's listening. Like, get with the program. And so I share that, and I share all of that because when I joined my first company, this is 9 years ago. This is January 2011.
Okay.
I joined my first company. Not because I wanted extra stuff, not because there was a pair of shoes I wanted to buy, not because there was like, I want some designer jeans, a little bit of extra whatever, party money would be great. Oh, no. I joined my first company because I could not afford to pay $300 a month in rent. Like, I was literally living in somebody's basement, not a joke, literally living in a basement, didn't have my own kitchen, didn't have my own bathroom, sharing a bathroom with 2 other people in a basement of a house. And the person who I was living with said, I need another $300 in a month in rent. And I went, well, I literally was like, what? Because my check, I don't know who I'm speaking to right now that can relate to this, but I know that relate to this. But it was like every time I got paid every 2 weeks in a good job, like I'm doing air quotations, but like a good job, a stable paycheck, a 401k benefits, all this stuff that everybody's like, oh gosh, you must be stable. You work in a pathology lab. Well, let me tell you, I didn't have a spending problem. There's a lot of taxes when you're making 45 grand a year problem. I had a problem that when I went to work every day, it was a 2-hour round trip commute and I had to pay for gas. And that's when gas prices were much higher. I had a problem that I went to school in New York City and now I was home and I had to have a car. Granted, it was a beater car. I had a car payment now. Like, I didn't have some kind of crazy anything. And so I say that because I think it's important to know that I went from needing $300 a month to there's been months I've made well over $300,000 a month. And you absolutely can do the same. Like your story does not have to be your ending. And there is so much hope in this world. You just have to take a chance.
It's so, so, so good. I mean, how many people can relate to that? If you're listening to this right now and you can relate to not being able to pay your rent or needing to come up with a little additional few $100s, then Jessie Lee right now is your hope. Bossly is your hope. And I absolutely love that. Can I ask you this question? When did you decide that you were meant for more?
That started really young, actually. That's a really good question. Nobody's ever asked me. I've decided when I was meant for more, probably I don't know the exact breaking point, but it must have been at some point when, like, maybe when I was watching abuse in the household, like domestic violence. And I was like, that cannot be, like, this is not, and I just knew that I wanted more than that. I knew I wanted, different than always struggling. I knew I didn't want to be the kid who couldn't even go on, field trips or anything. I always had to sit in the cafeteria at lunch because it cost, $10 or something to go on a field trip. And I kept seeing all this really negative stuff. And I just went, God, like, I can't live like this. And so I think from a very young age, then I started showing things, like showing signs that I wanted to do more, like Girl Scouts, when you're selling Girl Scout cookies. Like, I was like, I have to be the best.
Are you bawling out Girl Scout cookies?
Oh yeah, man! Like, I probably could go, on my honor, I will try to serve God and my country to help people out to live by the Girl Scout law.
That's right.
Like, absolutely. Like, I remember, yeah, for sure. And I was always number one there. And then it was because I felt like it was an opportunity to show people that I had some kind of greatness in me, because I didn't have that opportunity in my household. Same thing when we would sell, wrapping paper or whatever door to door. Like, I was like, I will just outwork you, even, whatever it is. I set up like vegetable stands. I'd pick up from the garden and I'd sell, red and green peppers. I was just always trying to do more. And I realized very quickly that a lot of stuff came to me pretty naturally. A lot of little things would come to me naturally, but I would actually back down often. Okay. Like, there were things I was talented at and I would never really get to my full potential repeatedly. This is like a constant.
So these were patterns that were showing up in your life.
Oh yeah. Constant, like deprecating things like, oh gosh, my family's never been good at that. Why would I be good at that? Oh, my mom and dad are terrible in relationships. I'm never going to be good in relationships. Or, oh, nobody likes me. All these stupid negative self-talk that is not even accurate. We just lie to ourselves. We can get into that if you want to. But specifically when it came to network marketing, I did have a moment that I can pinpoint because I was doing well. I got to that point where it was like, oh, I'm above average. I was like, oh, I'm not just this basic, whatever. And I really started to like eat my own cookie. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm #bossly. And, right. If you don't know, now you know, I make $30,000 a month. Oh my God. Like, I was like, okay, I never sounded like that. I definitely had this like a nearly unhealthy ego about me. Right. And so I remember, I talk about this a lot because I think it's super important. I went to GoPro, which is it's an industry generic event. And Eric Worre. Yeah. Yep, Eric Worre, one of my good friends, and he's mentored me a lot in this profession. And I just never forget it because I felt like I was the bomb. Like, I would have told you I'm the bomb, right? I mean, like in a little like nudge way.
Right.
And then I've got this row of guys behind me, and Eric does this thing that just, it rocked my world. Rocked my world. And I want you all to think about times in your life that you've had moments like this so you can reflect on them and find out where they are in your life and decide to make a change. Because he does this thing where he goes, all right, stand up if you're making $100,000 a year. Now I'm standing because I'm like, 25 years old, like, I'm awesome, right? I've been making $100,000 a year since I was 20.
That was brushing her shoulders off for those.
Oh yeah, sorry, brushing her shoulders off. Like, oh, don't you wish you knew what it was like to make $100,000 a year at 22? Because let me tell you, or I guess I was 23, but whatever. Like, I was so whatever. And then he's like, all right, stay standing if you're making $250 a year. And again, I'm like, well, I didn't really make $250 yet, but I made 33 last month. So like, that's on track. So I'm going to stand up, and I'm like, oh yeah, like, this is me. I am thebum.com. Like, again, reading my own press clippings. And this is when it got real. This was my moment where I'm like, you're destined for more, woman. I'm standing there. He says, stay standing if you're making $500,000 a year. Now I can't even lie on that one. Like I can't even stretch that. So I sit and I expect the whole room to sit because somewhere in my head, I've got this like ego around it. No one else really sits. And I'm like, man, this room had like 400 people in it.
Wow.
And I was like, oh.
Wake up call.
Yeah. And then he goes, if you're making $750 a year, stay standing. And maybe a quarter of the room sits. And then he says, if you're making $1 million a year or more, stay standing. And I'm like, no, you can't make them. Come on. That's like, they lie about this. People lie about making, like, who actually does it? Because people say that, right? Like, if you Google it, it's like, there's one person in network. Like, Google will tell you that it's like one person making $1 million a year. So I believed it, right? Like, here's, I guess, a big, profound thing. Write this down. I unintentionally set my standards so low because of people's opinions that I did not even know from the freaking internet. So if he says, stay standing if you're making $1 million a year, I'm not exaggerating. At least 300 people are standing. And specifically, the row behind me is a bunch of 18 to 26-year-old boys from Brazil. They hardly speak English. It is a poverty-stricken country at this time. I don't know the Brazilian economy right now. This is a few years ago. These boys are standing at $1 million a year, 18-year-old kids. In that moment, my neck was like a poltergeist, okay?
Yeah, like, is this real?
I'm sorry. Hold on. Now, I don't know they're Brazilian at the time, so I'm like, what? What? How old are you, children? Like, what are you doing, children? Because, like, I was making $100,000 a year at 23, And they're like, oh, 18. They can hardly speak English. I hear this really thick accent. They start speaking in Portuguese. 18, 22, 24. I'm like, oh. And that was when I realized, like, so many of us let other people's self-limiting beliefs ruin our lives instead of coming up with your own conclusions. It was in that moment I decided to shut up, be a student, listen to everything that those men and anybody who was standing at $1 million, and especially Eric in the front of the room, had to say. And I just said, that moment I said, if these people can do it, I've got to become the #1 earner in this whole profession. I've got to stop setting limitations.
Wow. What a powerful story. Thank you so much for sharing that. That just hit me so profoundly. And what I'm hearing is that there's a moment in your life, right? There's a moment in our lives that we can decide that we are meant for more. Absolutely. And that was the moment that you decided, like,
you can decide it right now.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, why not right now, right? Decide. Of all the circumstances going on in the world right now, all the reasons not to be, all the reasons to wait for the $1,200 stimulus check to show up, which I think personally is a bunch of crap. And I don't say that to offend anybody, but I don't believe that's, if it pays 1 or 2 bills, is it really getting you ahead in life?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
No, it's interesting because I think everything in life is perspective. Everything. Every single thing in your life is perspective and finding out what fulfills you. And the life I was living as struggling and going more and more broke every paycheck, it was not fulfilling. I kept thinking to myself, there must be something more to life. And I didn't know that I was going to become, I didn't know that network marketing was my path. I didn't know that investments were going to be I didn't know. I invest in all kinds of stuff now. It's crazy. Like, right. I didn't know. I had no idea because I had nobody to use as a guide. Like, I never had somebody in my childhood who was like the example. So I had to start surrounding myself with people like that.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So because the person I know, Jessie Lee, when you entered Bossly, when you entered this world of, let's say your first network marketing company, how old were you then?
22.
22 years old. Okay. So when you were 22, I have a hard time believing that you were the person that you are now at 22.
Oh my God. Can we, right? Okay. If I haven't seen you in 6 months, maybe even 3 months, I need to reintroduce myself.
I love that. What you just said was so powerful. And I hope that people get this on so many levels. And I'm so sorry for interrupting, but it's like, whoa. The level of growth. Like, I watch you every day. Like I watch you. I met you a few months ago in person, which was absolutely amazing out here in Seattle, and got to actually give you a big hug. But I watch you. I watched who you were there and how you showed up in that room. I watch, you know, how you show up every single day. And I want you to talk about that, because what I observe in you, Jessie Lee, is a behavior unlike anybody. Like I can actually say anybody in any industry who I have ever met, and I deal with some bosses, right? Like,
yeah,
that's what I observe in you. And it's a commitment to doing the work.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, you really nailed it. But the thing is, you have to force yourself to grow. Like, I don't want to be the same version of myself ever. Like every day I want to wake up and be better. And 10 years ago, Jessie Lee, I wouldn't recognize that person if I met her personally. I was just different, you know, like I was so impatient and I was so aggressive in how I would build. And I was so just scarcity mindset around stuff. That's really how I was building and operating. There was nothing abundant about it. There was nothing calm about it. There was nothing peaceful about it. There was nothing patient about it. There was nothing powerful about the way I was operating. It was completely out of scarcity. And I kept on trying to get forward with that, realizing you can't get forward with that. And so then I started pouring into development. You know, this is interesting, and I hope some of you hear this, but like I had to be basically dragged kicking and screaming to my first event. I didn't want to go. I thought I can get everything I need out of books, which I read more probably than all of you. So like, it's not even that. I still love to read. I still do all the things, but like, I didn't see the value in an event until I went. And then I went, oh my God, it changed everything. And now I'm like a junkie, right? I gotta get this corona's killing me. I need my fixes. But I started to force myself to grow. You know, it's not like I want to go live multiple times online a day. It's not like I want to, you know, oh my gosh, like put out a podcast. It is exhausting. Okay. I put out a podcast every single freaking day, which means some days I'm recording 6 or 7 podcasts that can be an hour long at times, just to make sure that I have enough content batched so that I can get it out on time whenever it comes out. I put out, a YouTube every single day. I go live on Facebook every single day, Instagram every single day. We produce multiple IGTVs every single day to get them rolled out. There's a post on Instagram and a post on Facebook every day, at least one. There's a TikTok every day. Like for me, it's like it's absolutely forced. There's days I don't want to show up. There's days I don't want to do. There's more days than not I don't want to do it. But I think about legacy. I wear it on my wrist. My word is legacy. I've worn it for like 3 years now. It never fell off. They say when it falls off, you can change words. Well, it hasn't fallen off, so I'm gonna keep it rolling. Like, right. What is my legacy gonna be? Are my great grandbabies gonna say, my Nana was like the Bob? Like, you don't even know. Or they'd be like, I don't even know her name. What was her name again? Right. What was great Nana's name? No, like literally, there will be like a Wikipedia page a mile long. They'll be like, that was my great Nana. Let me tell you about her. She went live 9,000 days in a row. I don't even know, but like, I just don't think enough people think about that. And they think, oh, but it's not convenient. But like, Joni, it's not supposed to be convenient. Right. Because if it's convenient, then everybody's gonna do it. It's when you like, I have no makeup on right now. I wish I had like good looking makeup on to capture some good looking content. Screw it.
No, you just do. You show up. You show up and you just do. It's not, and that's what I love about you is you don't give a you know what, like you just show up because you're committed to the outcome more than you are to the behavior, right? Like where you're committed to the outcome more than you are to the excuses and the reasons of why not to do the behavior.
I really like that. There's so many people that just, you know, they focus on what the outcome is going to be, like you said, instead of focusing on what actions do I actually need to take. And so many people quit before they ever succeed at all, not understanding that this is not a short term. This is not a sprint. It is a sprint, but let me explain the way I like to. It's a marathon of sprints. So you got to run. I don't subscribe to just take it slow and steady. I don't think you can make the impact you want to by going slow and steady. I just don't.
Okay. So can we dive into these little sprints? Because I observe I see you doing them. So how do you go about it? What do you do? How do you create the results that you create with sprints on your team?
Yeah. I mean, the fact of the matter is that most people can operate in a short amount of time. Mm-hmm. So if you can set a micro goal and think macro, like they can't think macro. Most people can't think macro. They pretend they can, but they don't. So like I'm thinking up here and then I'm reverse engineering all the micros inside of it to find out what they actually need to do. So then we can go on little sprints with the team, but also myself. You know, even for me, it's like, what, you know, what goals do I want to hit by when? What are my bi-monthly goal? What is my, you know, yearly goal? What are these little, that's more on the micro scale, right? In order to get myself where I need to go. And I just think that if it's so encouraging when you do things on a micro scale, because you have that success, you have that win, you have that accomplishment. And when you start having accomplishments, that's when you start to trust yourself. Because a lot of people here will set some kind of huge macro goal. They fail at it because they give up, and then they self-deprecate. Then they don't believe in themselves. Then everything, I'm a failure at everything. And that's not fair to you, because just because you're not good at one thing or you failed at one thing does not make you a failure at everything.
Right.
I don't know if that answers the question.
No, it completely does. It completely does. So what I'm hearing you say is that people can't think macro, right? We try to, but it's most of the world, I think.
Some people can, right?
I said most of the world cannot, right? Like it's a great dream and a great vision, but how do we actually create tactical behavior that gets us there? Like, what's the needle mover, right? And so you chunk it down, like, here's the goal, here's the team's goal, here's my personal goal. How do we create behavior that backs into what's the specific behavior that we can implement daily? Is that what you do over a period of time?
For sure. But it's in everything I do. Like any kind of thing I do, I set some kind of goal. Like, what is your outcome? This is what you need to do if you want to create systems, because systems is kind of the way my brain works.
Yes.
And then everyone wins in a system because you don't have to think, it just duplicates. So it's like, what is your outcome? Like, what is the of anything? What is the outcome? And then start reverse engineering it. So if your outcome is you want to make $10,000 a month.
There we go.
Okay. So if you want to make $10,000 a month, find out what, and it's not all network marketers, because I have real businesses too. I mean, there is a real business, but I have traditional businesses too, brick and mortars. Sure. But like, what is your goal for said month? You want 10,000. Can you figure out exactly, thank you, babe, how many customers you need, how many maybe recruits you need, how many new clients you need? Can you find out and reverse engineer all of that, and then create a system to do the following, to attract those people? What's the system for that? What's the attraction? What's the system for actually closing? Is there a set of scripts you need to write out that will actually get those people to convert? Because you then broke the goal down to, this is how many people I need. So if you break anything in your life down like that, then you start creating a system around it, because you can start actually saying what happened. What I see so much of is you try to have a high level conversation with somebody who's achieved, and you say, well, what did you do to get there? And most people can't tell you.
Right.
Because there's no system, which means they know they can't do it again. And that's a problem. You know, like, I have built now to the top of 3 companies in record time for all 3. It's just boom, boom, boom. And it's because I look at the top goal, whatever it is I'm trying to do, and I go, okay, if I need to do that, how many personal recruits do I need? How many personal recruits winning do I need? And then I start getting the systems together to get everything in place, and then it all builds from the bottom up like a brick house.
So beautiful. You just dropped so many value bombs, like one after the other right there. There was so much gold there. Like, guys, go back and listen to this podcast again, because there are constant value bomb after value bomb that I can't even keep up with them, which is so beautiful. And this is all modelable, right? If that's even a word. Like, you can model this behavior, right? We model. If you want to know how to get somewhere, you do what the person who has what you want is doing, right? And so if you want to have what Jessie Lee has, right? And then it's a great life. I watch you, right? I mean, you've got an amazing partner, Alexander, and, you know, your 2 little monkeys. And can you come just say hi for a quick second? I just want to see his face. And here, for those who are watching the video, we just got to say hi.
He's here. Of course he's here. He's always here. Here he is.
Cool. Oh, hey, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
So good. So good to see you. We just had to capture you on video for just a second, because what I love about the 2 of you now is that you have taken your brand, Jessie Lee, and you're like, how can I combine the love of my life into this brand? And it's just beautiful, because so many people don't have that with their partner. So many people feel that disconnect, and the 2 of you have just figured out, and maybe are still figuring out, how it works together. So just wanted to
there's a lot to unpack in that, for sure.
I'm sure it's not easy dating a woman of this magnitude and power. So
hey, it takes a 1 in 8 billion right here. All right. Like he can't ever leave. I made you. Oh, I love
so good.
Like,
so
no,
good.
It's amazing you say that, because first of all, I realize how blessed I am, which is the first thing, in the sense of, I wasn't willing to settle. Like, a lot of people are willing to settle in relationships, especially romantic relationships. And this isn't me saying, go divorce him, okay? But like, if the person that you love and that you're trying to create a life with will not create the life you want, I think you need to check yourself. And I say that we're both divorced.
Juicy. Yeah.
We both are, right? Like, we both were like, oh, we found no, maybe not the love of our life, not so aligned on our goals. Like he knew when he tried to go to a personal development event and she's unsupportive, and he's like, oh God, like, I'm trying to be a better person. And I knew for similar circumstances, right? But my point being, like what you said, we would not mesh if he had this alpha personality. It just wouldn't work. It wouldn't. Not to say he's a beta male. That's not what this is either.
I completely get it. We get it. Yeah,
but
absolutely. He lets you be you, from my observations, right?
Because I wouldn't tolerate it.
Yeah, and I love that. He has to.
He loves it though. Like, he's so supportive. Like you would have to try to find somebody who's more supportive than Alexander. Good luck. Like, just the amount of, oh my God, like my woman is freaking amazing. Like, good luck. So, but his skill set is completely different than mine. He doesn't even realize it. He doesn't even realize how good he is, which is so cool. Cause I get to be the, I don't want to say cheerleader because it's not the right word, but I get to gas him up like, babe, oh my God. Like, wow, and he's like, I'm like, it's really good, and like being like, no, people are going to take you freaking seriously. Like, we're going to, just I know how good he is. I can see how good he is.
You complement each other in that way, right? What skills you have, maybe his skills are in a different area. And I've been observing that too, different. Right? Completely different. So how does that meld together? And I think that's really, and we can't necessarily force people to get there in our lives, right? Like, you can't make somebody be someone they don't want to be.
You can't make anybody do anything they won't want to. That's in business. That's why you got to be slow to hire, quick to fire. And
slow to hire, quick to fire. That was such a beautiful word.
It's important, and just protecting your energy around stuff. I mean,
So can we talk about energy for a minute? Because your energy is off the chain, lady, and I know that you know that. So first of all, what creates that energy in you?
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that my mother said that I came out screaming and I never stopped. So we should start there. I think we all have God-given gifts and talents. That's without a doubt. I don't think it's any secret that mine is energy. Now, there are things I definitely do, and I can tell you some of these things that help me maintain my energy. But even with that, I do have an awareness that it is just a firebomb inside me, and I have to let it out. And the interesting thing is that it was not well received until probably like maybe 4 years ago. Like, that's the great irony of this, is that I've always been this super excited, empathetic, like, I want to love on you, like, let's go, we can do it. This has been me forever, but all through grade school, I'm sitting alone every single day at lunch. Like, nobody ever sat with me. I did not have friends. I was not liked. I was made fun of. Like, and then I go to college, and it's like, not made fun of, but it was like I never found a group of friends that liked me, in college, good God. Like, and so I think that even actually, this is interesting because this just came to my head and I feel like God speaks through me. So It's like it almost forced me to be the best because I couldn't get seen by people any other way. And so in everything I did, I was like, well, then I'm just going to outsell them. I'm going to get, I'm going to get the best section at the restaurant that I'm waiting tables at because I'm going to at least get my clients to like me for the hour and a half I'm serving them food. And I just always had to be seen somehow because everybody on earth does things for recognition. This is not a unique to me or you thing. Every single human being on earth wants to be seen. Yeah. That is just our driving force as human beings. And so, my energy in general, though, I will just tell you, I don't spend time on things that feel toxic to me. And every single one of you knows what those things are or those people are. But I am courageous enough to cut the ties. I am courageous enough to say, this is really not serving me. Every time I'm around you, I feel it physically in my body. And you all know what I'm talking about, even if you're like, I'm not woke like that. Yes, you are. When your throat gets tight around somebody, when your chest sinks in like this, when your gut starts turning, that is literally your body saying, this person's energy is making me uncomfortable. You need to turn around and walk away. Period. End of discussion. And and you've probably heard this before. I don't care if it's your mom. I don't care if it's your dad, your sister, your brother, your best friend, your lover. Like, you need to figure out how to get that person away from you. And I'm not saying kick mom out of your life entirely, but I am saying you really need to limit your time. You need to limit your exposure until they start respecting boundaries. And so that's first and foremost. I'm very aware when somebody's energy is off. I've said it to Alexander from day one. I'm like, not a good person. Not a good person. He's like, oh, I like him. I'm like, my everything told me. My whole body said no.
Well, if you're empathic and we all can feel it at some level. I think some people are just more tuned into it, right?
I'm more tuned in,
and
sure.
if you have a mission, if you're a woman on a mission or a man on a mission, an individual with a big mission, a mission that is bigger than you have to protect that energy.
God, yeah.
You have to. And I think far too many people allow the person who they're in front of or communicating with to control the circumstances. And who is it up to control?
Right. It's up to you, for sure.
It's up to you. So that with such powerful words, man, this is just.
There's so much more though, like with energy in general.
Yeah.
Like
so talk about it, because there's
little stuff. These are little hacks. Like if you're not, you probably have seen how much water I've drank on this podcast. People are probably wondering if I'm a camel. Like I'm ready for another cup almost. Like, and this is, what is this? 24 ounces.
And that's not even your ketones, right? Like
no,
that's not even your.
Well,
ketones have water too, but.
I mean, ketones, yeah, sure, but I don't want to pitch anyone on anything.
No.
But I will just. Well, that's a whole separate conversation. I'll get to in a second. But like, I drink at least a gallon of water a day. Usually, like I'm teetering towards 2. Just because I'm like, we're 70% water. God, get it in your body. And I feel
which creates clarity because you're feeding the cells of your body what they need for life, right?
I joke around, but it's like not a joke, Tony. But like, I'm like, literally, your people's brains are like raisins. Like, give me water. If you would give your brain some flipping water, you'd have like a big, juicy, beautiful, like grape brain. But not enough people are giving themselves water. So big on water and big on what I eat. Like, I know it's not to push any of my beliefs on anybody, but I eat carnivore. I feel like a machine. I'm O positive blood type.
Right.
When I
am too, and I'm vegetarian. And
I think we talked about this. Yeah.
And
we did. I don't push it on anybody. Like,
no,
good.
She doesn't. And I love that. Like, you eat what makes your body feel, made up a word, makes your body feel good. Yep. Right. And
my
feel right.
Is a whole different level, when I'm, so I do that. I always move my body every day. I'm very into yoga in the mornings. I believe in the sun, so I like to get outside, and I moved to Texas so I could get that good old vitamin D on me. I mean, we're already in summertime here, basically.
Oh, I've been watching your beautiful pool and getting all kinds of jelly every day that it's cold out here in Seattle. And I love that. So these are all different things that you do specifically as a high performer, a high achiever, somebody with purpose and vision and a mission in the world, right? To feed your body all the nutrients and the things that it needs. I absolutely love that.
Silence is
say that again.
Silence is like gold to me. People think I'm super extroverted, and I mean, you can ask Alexander. You can ask anybody who knows me on a very personal level. I'm probably one of the quietest people you'll ever be around. But then I switch on, and Boss Lee comes out, and it's woo or whatever.
Oh,
right?
Girl, I felt it like right when we turn. I'm like, oh, she just turned on. It's so good, like a switch. It's beautiful.
So preserve time like that, but silence in general. Every day I wake up before Alexander, significantly earlier.
Okay, can we talk about that? Was one of my questions. Walk us through. I'm a firm believer that how you start your morning controls your entire day. So can you talk? And I don't know if you agree with that. I'd love to hear how you begin your day. Is it the same every day? Is it different a little bit? How do you begin your day?
Yeah, it's so funny now because I used to be one of those people who's like, I will never get up early and like have a morning routine. That is so not me. Like, I want to wake up at the same time as you and just start like, we're better people when I have time to myself, period. Because I have the day, I have time to journal. I wake up and I drink a ton of water, first of all. And then I go and I take electrolytes, and then I go upstairs, and we have a beautiful sun deck that literally, it's like the perfect yoga deck. Except for I've gotten rained on like the last 4 days. I don't know what the deal is. Okay. It's like, it's perfect. And then like a storm cloud rolls in, you see it in the time lapse. I'm like, y'all, seriously. But anyway, but I go and I do yoga up there. So I'm in a meditative state. I'm a firm believer. I have a hard time meditating, just like sitting somewhere. So I'm very into meditating through active meditation, which would be yoga, or if we're running, or if, I'm at the gym or whatever else like that. For me, so much clarity in my mind. But then I come and I write. So then it's time to just scribe. Like,
what do you write? What are you writing about?
I always write down, I got this from Simon Jan, actually, who's a friend of mine. I loved it. Every morning I start off, first of all, with 3 reasons I'm grateful for Alexander.
Oh,
which is good because sometimes like maybe you wake up and like, I mean, I'm trying to think of like, he doesn't ever, I don't know how that'd be possible. He's not awake, but like, maybe I'm like, why was he snoring last night? Which he hasn't snored in a long time. So it's like not a thing. I don't know. Maybe like I felt like he was taking up too much of the bed, which also doesn't happen. I'm like trying to, I'm really
probably the dogs, right? Anyway.
Here, right? But like if there's something that's like annoying me about whatever, instantly forcing myself to go boom, gratitude for Alexander, it changes everything right off.
That.
Which like, I mean, we don't fight, we only
as you said, perspective is everything, right?
Everything.
So it changes, shifts your perspective. So 3 things you're grateful for in your partner.
Yep. And then I start writing down things that I'm grateful for in general, 10 things. So 10 things I'm grateful for from the day before. So I don't, now if you're somebody who's really stretching and you're trying to figure out like, oh God, what am I grateful for? You can do the sky is blue. You can do the sun is out. You can do breath in my lungs. You can do food on the table. You can do roof over my head. Like I like to think in the last 24 hours, what am I grateful for? What am I grateful for? Because it makes you actually reflect and think about what the heck happened in that last day, you know? And so that's really useful. And then I do 10 things that I have accomplished in the next 10 years. And how I just said that is very important. 10 things I have accomplished in the next 10 years, because that's how I write them down. Like I am a world-class wife, you know, or I am a world-class mother. I write those down a lot, right? Or I only fly private or first class with my whole family. Or I have luxury homes all over the world. Or like, you know what I'm saying? So these things where it's like, you know what, Jessie Lee, you are right. You have, you know, just, I mean, and that might be a stretch for some people. Maybe they can't get into it.
Not
like
for
that.
this audience. We talk about that a lot. So
yeah. Okay, good. That's what I'm speaking to my people. I don't just write it though. Here's what you need to do. I write it, but I feel it. So when I'm writing it, it's not just, it's never just some, you know, like I feel it. I feel it.
How do you connect with that feeling? Because
I see it in my eye. Like I literally feel it.
That's powerful. So for somebody who has a hard time, like feeling 10 years out into the future, what's a recommendation you give them to be able to bring that into the now?
So I have a really cool exercise. I actually got it from a friend of mine, Sarah Centrella. She's got a really
mine too.
Sarah, yes. So I actually coach people through this often, and it's called the 50 what ifs.
Okay.
Have you ever coached anyone through this?
The what ifs? No.
Oh, okay, this is really good.
No, please.
So what I want you to do is I want everyone to get out a pen and a paper.
Let's do it.
Because you need to write it down. And well, I'll have you do some of it with me right now. Okay.
Okay.
So Joni, I want you to give me 50 what ifs. Now, if you are a dreamer, this isn't going to be that hard. I mean, it's not going to be easy because 50 is a lot. We probably won't get to 50 because it'll take time.
Right.
But if you're a thinker where everything you do in your life is you overthink. Oh, no. You're going to really have to sit down. And those are the people you're actually talking about anyway, are the thinkers. But you're going to have to really work through what do you want. And I have people redo the exercise as well, because some of you will do, what if I buy my mom a house? What if I buy my dad a house? What if I buy my mom a car? What if I buy my son a car? Like, what do you want? So let's do it. What if?
Cool. Okay, what if this community I'm building in Cyprus actually attracts the right people that we want into this biohacking community? So what if that happens? And what if we sell it out in, you know, the next 6 months? What if, or sooner, can I just keep going? Okay, cool. Okay. What if we build the Biohacking CEO Summit? Oh my God, I'm getting this out like publicly. It's a little bit a lot.
That's only 3. Let's go.
All right, cool. So what if I'm on Dr. Joe Dispenza's show? What if, I'm serious. So what if I'm on Oprah's stage? And what if, I love Rachel Hollis. What if Rachel Hollis and I partner in something absolutely amazing together? And what if I'm finally a New York Times bestselling author? And what if I buy my dream home on Alki Beach? And what if I buy my dream home in Hawaii? And what if I finally get my dream home in New York City as well? And I mean, I could keep going on and on. Are we still going?
That was like 9, so you can go. But my point is, if you do that and you write that out every 6 months, it should constantly be changing. Because I'm telling you, it makes you start to think in your head. I swear to this. It makes you go, how do I have the audacity to want that? right? And it makes you go, what kind of person do I have to become to have the 3 homes you just described, or be on stage with Oprah or whatever? Who does Joni Dillon have to become for that to happen? And then it goes back to my systems. It goes back to your brain starts to reverse engineer everything. Your brain starts to go, hold on a minute now, like, like your brain starts to, your subconscious, right, starts to literally put the pieces together when you're not even thinking about it. So if you are doing that, it just I'm telling you, it shifts.
I freaking love that exercise. Oh my goodness. I love it because it initially it was like, whoa, I gotta like think, you know, it took me a second to get into it. I'm like, well, what if, you know, but then it was like all of the things that you want. It's like, now who do I have to be to do the things I need to do to have that life, right? To have those things. That's so powerful. So good. And we talk a lot about the subconscious mind on this podcast. So that's really amazing.
That's where
so you do that. How often do you do that exercise?
Oh, that's every morning. Oh, what if? The what if's every 6 months.
Every 6 months. Okay. I love it. It's so powerful. And you just brain dump it out on paper.
Yeah.
So good. So juicy.
And when I know you're coaching people. So that has pulled so much out of so many people because it's almost, and I like doing it with them like that, especially the people who have such a hard time with that because they always cry. And I love that.
Oh, so good.
But like it's almost like people in their life have not given them permission. And you're sitting there and you're like, come on, Joni. Come on. No, come on.
You got this. Come on. Think bigger. Think bigger.
No, what do you really want? Like, come on. And they're just like, okay, what if I drive a Lamborghini? And you're like, yes, come on, Joni, give it to me. It's just like, what if I buy my dad the house, but like it's next door, it's attached to my huge house. I'm like, yes, Joni. Yes. You know, it's just like, it's different. It changed.
I
love
thing
to work. I love it.
Such a value bomb right there. Like I am taking that practice and I'm reaching out to Sarah today. Like, I can't believe I didn't know about this. So good. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's fantastic. Okay. So I want to be respectful of your time, but I'm really curious. Like if you were to think of, so we're going to wrap this up very soon is my point. Like the success that you have, right? If you were to say, what one thing are you doing and have you been doing over the years that has created the success that you have right now? Like if there was one thing that people could do, like one behavior, what would that one specific behavior be?
Oh, Lord have mercy, girl. It's a good one, but I got it already. So
of course you do.
It goes into really what you said earlier, and I was going to touch on it, which is about modeling behavior. Because there's nothing special about what I do. I'm just willing to do it. And not enough people are.
Wow.
But here's what I realized, because people ask me kinds of questions like this a lot. And I used to say stuff like, I don't know. Like, I don't know why I'm better at whatever. And then I realized it. So I don't know if I've ever said it publicly. It's definitely not on a podcast. So here you go. I was willing to trade resources I had to get resources I didn't have. Let me give you an example.
Talk about that. Yeah.
9 years ago, I'm broke. Right? Like 9 years ago, I am broke. The resource I had was time, right? Because I had a normal job, but in a normal job, you're not working on weekends, and you know, you can wake up earlier. I could go to bed a little later. I could be tired at work, but like whatever, it wasn't my passion. Like I could find time. The resource I did not have was money.
Okay.
But I had access to people who had money, just like all of you do, through the internet, and so from the internet, and from people who were better than me in the same career path. So I would trade my time, my free time, my weekend time, my, dinners with friends time, my whatever time, any free time I had, I traded that resource in order to get around the people who had money, because that was the resource they had and they did not have time, so that I could model their behavior. Because I started to see what wealthy people did. I started to see the way wealthy people walked. I started to see and hear the way wealthy people talked. I started to see the way that wealthy people speak to people and connect with people and relate to people and their patterns of language. I started to notice the way wealthy people slowed down when something was important. I started to pay attention to the way they would present in front of a room, because I had nothing but time. Just because I didn't have opportunity to maybe make money, I'd say, can I shadow you tonight at your presentation? Can I ride with you if I find a ride to your house so I can ask you some questions? I would trade all of my extra time for their time, for their money knowledge. And by trading those resources, now it's the opposite. Now it's, I see people who are willing to trade their time to get around me. And I'm like, it's interesting. So that is like the one big thing.
Wow, what a gem. What
modeling
a gem. So powerful. And I hope that you guys heard that and took it in. Jessie Lee, Boss Lee, come on. Like there's so much gold that you just dropped in this, 55 minutes or 50 minutes that we were here together. So much gold. And it's one thing to hear information, right? It's another thing to actually receive it and then act on it, right? And act on it. And I hope that people can take this information that you've given us and really begin to change their life, because there is a time right now, we are in times that are unprecedented, and there is a lot of people who need a lot of hope right now. And can I just, can you take us out with this, just some words of, what can somebody do who's listening to you right now, who's gone from literally not being able to pay $300 worth of an increase in rent, right? And the girl who was bullied in school, the girl who was picked on, that had lunch alone. I have chills in my entire body just saying this right now, right? Because I see just this amazing, beautiful person that you've turned into, and tears are welling into my eyes because you are just the biggest giver and all that you are. But how can somebody can relate to even a small fraction of that, right? Who says, my life didn't turn out the way I thought it would. And I came from an abusive maybe situation, or maybe I just don't have freaking money right now. Maybe it just boils down to that. What words would you give them?
Thank you, by the way. That was really nice. I would tell them your life is not over. And I don't care if you're listening to this and you're 18 years old or if you're 85 years old. Life is short, but life is long. And so you get the power to make the decisions in your life that can change the trajectory of your future. And the best time to plant a tree was what? A couple hundred years ago?
Right.
When's the second best time to plant it? Now.
Right now.
So get in your heart and understand that all you really need is belief. Get around people who believe in you. Spend less time with people who bring you down. Spend less time with people who make you feel like you're crazy, and spend time around people who are crazy. But being crazy is kind of cool. And just understand you're never alone. You're never alone. Even if it's just virtually like this, there are so many more people out there that will know you and that will love you and that want to see you win. And spend time, even virtually, with those people, because I'm telling you, there is nothing better than listening to another person's rise from whatever it is they're going through. So you're not alone. Please understand that, and just know that you can change your life as soon as you make the decision to try.
So powerful. Thank you for those beautiful words. How can people connect with you? Because I imagine that every single person is going to want to do that after.
Appreciate that. Easiest place to find me is probably Instagram. It's just I'm Boss Lee. I am BOSSLEE. I have my own podcast as well, The People's Mentor. But you can reach out on Facebook.
Which is just fabulous, by the way. Whether you are in network marketing or not, I have been obsessed with your podcast. I'm serious.
Super
Seriously,
cool,
guys.
Thank you for that.
It's beautiful. Thank you for the gift of being here with us today, for sharing your words of just who you are and everything that you are and give to the world. I love you. You're part of my life, whether you know it or not. And thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out. Joni, you're amazing. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Keep sharing your light with the world.
You too.
Bye, Jessie Lee. Bye, Boss Lee. Take care.
You too.